Join the team.
Hey, this is the McGuire Review, and we are going to be taking a look at Dragon Pets. And this is coming to us from Japanime Games, Pendragon Game Studio. Now, I did pick this game up at Gen Con, and this was another one that was sold by the same booth as we just took a look at the Naruto board game, which I do highly suggest you check that out if you haven't seen that video. That is a great cooperative game, and I really got this one because I thought, you know, looking at the box and looking at the theme and how the game was laid out, and this is just the components we'll take a look at really quick, and I'll put this game in the form of how it would be if you'd actually play through it, just so we can kind of understand gameplay, because there's actually quite a bit here when you go through. You know, it really looks simplistic, and I thought, you know, this would be great for the kids, and it really is a kid's game. I mean, this is great for kids, but it's also awesome for adults as well. And I've played this with all adults, 4 adults, and we all had a great time. It was a lot of fun. You got high color artwork of the little dragons here. It's kind of got a cute, you know, theme and look to it. Small form factor package, and it really is a really good game. So with this game, we've got 8 plus, 2 to 4 people, and it's got 20 to 35 minutes. And I would say that's probably pretty accurate. I think it took us about 30 minutes once we started playing for the 4 of us to get through and then, you know, end the game and have a winner. And there is kind of a time clock on this game where once the deck or the forest of dragons runs out, that's going to end the game right there. And it's the second that you know, forest is drained, the game will end. So when we look at our components here, this is really what you're going to get. You've got the rule book here, very simple and short. You know, you got nice high color. Text has got a good layout. You're mainly going to get quite a bit of, you know, as far as what's in the rule book, it's just going to be your text. You got a little bit of artwork, you know, the cute kind of dragon styles that there is. And that's really it. There's just a few pages to go through. There's a few things you can do that are on your turn. And you do have to make sure, and this is one of the things that's important with the game, and it'll call it out right here in the rule book. There are specific actions that you take on your turn. And it's right here on page 5. And you do have to do these actions in order, because all the actions that you will take outside of placing one of your dragon seekers, and we'll talk about that here in a second, the rest of them are completely optional. So you're going to want to make sure that you, one, do those in order, and you only do the ones that is going to be most beneficial for you for that turn. And that pretty much wraps up a rulebook. Really quick here, we do have some reference cards that are included. It is up to a 4-person game, so they do include the 4 reference cards, which is really nice. 1 for each one of the colors in the game, which will correspond to your little meeple dragon seekers here, which are just a nice little basic wooden meeple. And it will list out the various different actions you can take and a couple little game rules that are on these cards. So these actually are really effective reference cards. I found that, you know, after explaining the rules to the group and going through and playing, we really only needed these go forward to figure out what we needed to do on our turn. And I found myself even going back to the rule book to say, oh, let me check that real quick. And someone just, well, it's right here on the reference card, says you just do this. Oh, okay. And it was that easy. And I had people, you know, actually correcting, you know, what I was trying to do with this book just by use of these reference cards. So, you know, point being, they did a great job with these cards. And I do like it when games include these little reference sheets. This right here are the starting dragon cards for the players. They will have a different back color than the standard cards. These have more of a kind of a brownish, you know, lighter brown color to them, and this has got a little bit of a reddish brown color to the back. And these are the cards that you're going to start with. And each player will start with 2 cards, and you do have to have different breeds, different types of dragons. So like a yellow and a green, or a yellow and a red. And if you don't, there's some rules on like how to switch those out. But you do want to have different types of dragons. And there are, you know, 5 different kinds of dragons. You got a yellow, you got a green, you got a red. And I'm going to have Bear load up I know he's got his Christmas hat on today. It's pretty cool. He wanted to wear that for this video. And you know, so I thought, yeah, that's pretty cool. Okay, I'll let you wear that one for this one. And maybe we just wear them for the rest of them in the month of December. That would be pretty cool. And then we've got a purple. We do have a blue. Let's see, is that everything? I believe that's everything. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So there's 5 colors. Red, green, purple, blue, and yellow are 5 different dragon colors, and there is male and female for each one of those dragons as well. And you'll want to match those up and breed them in this game, and that's how you get points. And there's little coins at the bottom of these cards that when you are able to breed those, you get a male and the female of the same type of dragon. You can breed that. It's an immediate action. You put it out in front of you, and you do collect those coins, which you'll be using those coins to actually take actions over the course of the game. So the coins are not going to be something that you're going to add up at the end and say, oh, I have more coins, so I win. It really has to do with the amount of pairs that you get of dragons. Do you get a pair of every color? You get some extra points. There's various different ways. They'll list the points out here in the back of the book of how you kind of add that up in the end to win. It's very simplistic. It's mainly just, do you have the rainbow of dragons? If you do, you get some extra points. How many pairs do you have? That's what really makes the win for you. And the coins are things you collect and you can use over the course of the game, because each one of those optional actions that we talked about, one action being you have to place a seeker, and the rest of these actions are optional that you would take on your turn, which would be catching a dragon, or you might want to re-roll your dice, or you might want to refill the forest, and we'll look at how the forest empties and gets refilled. Those are all optional actions that you would pay coinage to be able to do, and that's really what you're going to use with these coins. All right, so those are your starting cards, and every other card that you have here is a card that you're going to use in your Dragon Forest, and is a card that is going to start you off with your 16 cards that will be in front. You're going to build a 4x4 grid when you start the game off. All these little wood tokens here are going to be tokens that are going to be set around the outside of the actual 4x4 grid, depending on how many players there are. I'm going to go ahead and set this up as a 4-player game just so you can get a feel for what that looks like. And the last component here we have are our dice, which I think are fantastic. This one's a straight, they're just regular straight wooden die. This one's got the numbers on it. I'll show you what that's used for here in a second. But these I really think they've got a great color to them. I'm glad they used these colors, and I'm glad that they actually colored each one a different color. You'll notice that these do match the tokens here that we do have. There's a reason for that. And I love the fact that they went with the nice gold fleck to fill in those little dots there. Really glad they went with the gold fleck. Makes these dice really cool, and they look great when you roll. Man, look at that. Crit, 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 and a 2. Nice! Hey-o! All right, so let's get this set up to a 4-player game, and we'll go through and see what the game looks like when it's all set up, because I think it's got a really good visual design as well when it's set up. So let's get this set up. Boof! And Dragon Magic. We are ready to go. Love that video magic. My special effects are awesome, Bear. All right, just look at this. I mean, look at how cool this looks visually when it's all set up. And I like that they went with a lot of different usage of different types of components. You got your wood, discs here. You got your meeples. You got your cardboard coinage. You got your high color cards. This game does come at a very low price point as well. And what you're going to want to do is set up your tokens here along each one of the sides. And again, if there's different amount of players, you only have as many as there are players. And you do want to make sure that you don't have any colors that are the same straight across. So that's the only thing that you'll want to check. Other than that, it is kind of a random drop. You'll just kind of put them, randomly around. And it will matter once you start to roll dice, and that's part of kind of being random on the board. The only stipulation to that is just ensuring that you don't have colors that are the same, across from one another. That's it. And I'll show you why. Go on ahead and put the 2 cards that you're going to start with for each player. And, for this purpose of this demo here, I'm going to have the cards showing, but you wouldn't do that. Each player would keep those cards, hidden and to themselves, because you don't want everybody else to know what you're going after and what you're doing. Now, you are going for matches, and most of the time that's what you're going to be doing, but if you think another player is going for a specific type of card and match, you might want to try to just grab that card and block them. You will notice that about every card in the game is a dragon card. But there's this card right here, and this is called a dragon egg card. And it simply just has a little picture of dragon eggs on it, which I think is actually a really cool little I mean, the artwork in this game is fantastic. I mean, I really like the way they went around the artwork for each one of these dragons. I like the way the artwork of the dragon eggs look. The theme and the artwork on this game is 2 thumbs up. I mean, they really did a fantastic job, the artist on this particular game. And this is kind of an instant coinage. So again, we talked about how do you get the coins at the bottom of these cards? Well, you got to match, a male and a female of the same color of a dragon. Here's a female red dragon right here, and here's a male red dragon. So I would need to get both of those, and then I could immediately set those down and say, okay, give me, and you're going to take the coinage of the greatest coin of the two. So the female here has 2, and the male has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 on this particular match. Sometimes it's the other way around. Sometimes they're the same. Well, on this one, this is the way it is. So we'd go to the male cards here and we say, okay, bank, you owe me 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 coins, and you would take those coins. When you start the game, the only thing I haven't set out is each player would start the game with 8 coins that they're able to use over the course of the game. Dragon eggs, however, when you get this, it's an immediate coin grab. So as soon as you land on a dragon egg and you decide I'm going to take that dragon egg, I'm going to collect, you then would get your 2 coins, because this one here gives us 2 coins. That's the only difference with dragon eggs versus the dragons, is they're kind of that immediate coin grab. If you're getting low on coins, you can go in and get those dragon eggs. And I will tell you that dragon eggs at the end, when you do point score, is a point to help you get a higher point value if you do have a certain amount of these dragon eggs. So that is one thing to watch as well. You are going for those more than just the immediate coin. So when it's your turn, you're going to roll all 5 of these dice. And let's say I was first player and I started. I'm going to look at my cards. Okay, well, I got 1 yellow dragon, and I have a red, which is a male, and I have a red female dragon here. So set those down. Again, you're not showing them to anybody. And I'm going to roll all 5 of these dice. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to say, okay, I'm going to leave them just how they are. I'm going to say, well, I got 2. Put that on the purple. And I got a 2, and I'll put that on the, we'll just call this the light brown. And then I got a 4 on the orange. We'll put that right there. And I got a 1 on the gray. Put that right there. And then I got a 2. And all of those will stay just like they are. Now what this allows me to do is I can go in the gray column here. I can go 1 up. Here I can go 1, 2, 3, 4 up. Here I can go 1, 2. And here I can go 1, 2. So those are the cards that I can kind of get to, and that's how you'll use these dice. But as you use them, they come out of the pool, and then whatever's unused will then pass to the next player. So if I decided to say, well, I'm going to use this purple, and I'm going to place, because that's one of the things I have to do is place a seeker. So we can go here to our, and I'll get, let's make it right. I'll get my green card here because I'm the green player, and it says, okay, these are the actions that have to be done, and they have to be done in this order. Okay, capture the creatures. Well, there's no creatures to capture because nothing's out on the board, so I'm obviously not going to do that. That costs 1 coin. I'm going to refill the grid. Well, refill the grid is as dragons are captured, there's going to be holes in this grid. It's going to stay like that until someone pays a coin to refill the grid, which then they will pull from the forest one at a time and say, top card, and you have to call where it's going. This card's going here, this card's going there, and you'll fill the whole forest back up. Again, this is your time clock, so when this forest runs out, when all your dragon forest runs out, that will end the game immediately. Or I can re-roll the dice. So say, I use the purple, and let's say this next player's like, oh, I really wanted to get something in that purple row for that player. Well, they can say, I'm going to re-roll the dice. Well, it isn't just the purple die they get to re-roll. They have to re-roll all 5 dice. And that's a fun mechanic of this, because you may only be looking for 1 die to be what you want, but you have to re-roll all the die. And that might actually, help another player. It might hurt another player. Or you can place the seeker, which is the one thing that you do have to do on your turn. So on this first turn, I really can't do anything else but place a seeker. So I'm going to just say, I'm going to use the purple, and I'm going to go 2 up, and I'm going to go right there. Actually, hang on a second. Let's see. Can I benefit myself in any way by, I need a, no, I can't, because there's a female there. It doesn't really work out. So I'm actually not going to do that. I'm actually going to use this row, and I'm going to go up 2, and I'm going to use this die. And this die is now used. It's done, because at least I can pick up another type of dragon. And then that would be the end of my turn. It would then pass to the next player. The next player would say, well, the 2's still in order, so I can use that. The orange is still in order. I can use that. The gray is still in order. I can use that. I can't use the light brown because it's already been used, and I can still use the 2, and that will be able to be used every time. Now, let me explain to you what this does, because this die, what it helps you do is say, maybe I can't get to anything that is on the board, like it's a blank spot or it's just nothing I want. I can use this 2 to modify any die. So now this 1, where I could only go there, now becomes a 1 + 2. So now I can do 1, 2, 3, or I can do 1. Here it's a 4, so I can max myself out with 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, and go here. Or it's adding or subtracting from the amount. I can take 2 away and go here. And let's say that player wanted to do that. Let's say this player had, well, it's the same type, but let's say, for instance, this player really wanted this card. Like this was a purple male, okay? They also have a purple female. Let's say this was a purple male, and this player wanted to get to this card. This player could say, you know what, I'm gonna do orange, and I'm gonna say 2 minus 4, which is 2, and I'm gonna put my little guy right there. Well, what that does is it causes a conflict, and to do that, my meeple would then immediately come off, and this player would have to pay me a penalty of 1 gold coin for doing that. So there is no role for combat who wins. It's just, I'm going to pay you 1 coin. I'm going to remove your meeple from that card. And now I'm the only person standing on that card. There can only be 1 meeple at a time standing on a card. Because when one player causes the action of capture, every player that has a meeple, out on the board would then capture that dragon. And that's how it works. It is kind of a group deal when someone executes on the capture option, or one of the actions that you can do. Again, you can capture the creatures, refill the grid, or re-roll the dice. So let's say it got to the 3rd player, and let's say it was all the way around, and we all had meeples on, and it was the 4th player's turn. The 4th player said, you know what, I'm going to pay a coin, and I'm going to do the capture action. Everybody that's out there that's got a meeple on a card captures that dragon, and it goes into their hand of dragon cards. That might benefit you. It might just be another dragon to add to your hand, or it might give you a pair and you immediately get to lay down a pair. But I like that mechanic that when you capture, it isn't just you're capturing for your meeple. You cause all players to have to capture at that period of time, which is an interesting mechanic because you may not want to capture right then. It also helps move the game along because then it forces multiple areas of the forest to now become open, and it forces that refill of the forest. Because you might just think, well, I'll never spend a coin to refill the forest. I'll just keep letting it drain out and let someone else do that. Well, it's going to get to the point where there'll be so many holes in this forest, you won't be able to get to where you need to go. You won't be able to place a seeker, which if you can't place a seeker, there's a penalty, and it's a 5 coin penalty. So it's a big deal. You want to keep refreshing that forest. And that's the mechanic that really forces that refresh, is every time you capture, it's all players capture their dragons. And that's Dragon Pets. That's really how it works. It's literally that simple. Again, I think it adds a lot of different types of mechanics. It's simple. It's good for kids. Adults love this game that I found. We had a really fun time with it, and I would recommend this game as well. It's hard to find, a lot of these games that I review, I do videos on them and I review them because I actually really enjoy the game, and I want to tell other people about the games. It's hard to find something that I would say critically for this particular title, I would change. At first, I wasn't crazy about the mechanic of every player needing to capture when one person captured. But then as the game went on and we played the game, it became very apparent quickly that, okay, that's the mechanic that balances and offsets the time deck of the forest. Because otherwise, the game would go on for a really long time if you were just relying on people filling the forest up whenever it got drained, and it wasn't multiple cards at a time coming out of the forest. It really would add a certain amount of time to the game. I think the one thing that I can call out about this is I do kind of wish that the scoring at the end of the game was a little bit more robust. It really comes down to whatever you have in your hand that it's unbred. It will count against you. So you really want to work to get every one of those cards in your hand bred, or that's really going to hurt you at the end of the game. I like that. I like that bit that you're really trying to go for getting those cards out of your hand. But it really comes down to how many pairs you have, and if you also get the diversity bonus, which is having a pair of each one of the 5 dragons. And that's really about it. It doesn't take into account the coins that you get over the course of the game. And I think that would have been another added layer into the point system of, how many coins you have. And it could have been as simple as, well, if you have more than 5 coins, you get another point. Or for every 5 coins, you get another point. Or maybe for every 10 coins you got at the end of the game, you need another point. Because then that would actually force a little bit more of that. How many coins do I let go over the course of the game? For actions that I do, and it would balance. I think it would add another balance to the game, because again, you can't do any of those optional actions without paying coins, so that would be another bit of balance to the game. I really would say that's probably the only thing with this game that for me, I would say I would have liked to seen a little bit more put into the point system at the end, making that a little bit more robust. But other than that, I mean, you could always say, well, they could have added maybe a little miniature for the dragon eggs, or I think creating miniatures for all these different dragons with different color would have been a little overboard. It would have also increased the price of the base game, and the cards serve the purposes that they need to, and it looks fantastic. I mean, I'm glad that they went with artwork and cards. You can just see how highly colorful it is and the way that this looks. It's really a beautiful game, and it has a very fun style that you want to play when you see this. I mean, you're not going to walk past this game and be like, oh, I would never want to play that. I mean, this looks visually appealing. You're going to walk by and think, this is really fun. I want to sit down and play this game. So that's what I think about Dragon Pets. It is a recommend. This is a great game. So great job, Japanime Games. Hit that like, click the subscribe below to join the team, ring the bell. This has been the McGuire Review, and we'll see you next time. Dragons out!